right. So
All
we're going live
right.
now,
I
and
think
then
we are live.
I'm just gonna pin it in our group.
1 second.
Okay, it's live.
Okay. And we're live. Hello, everyone. We have Eric Y. Chen today on our Asian Hustle Network Fireside chat. Super excited to have Eric because Eric is a part of the Asian Hustle Network team. And he recently started his new venture, Sabobatage. And today we're going to grill him super hard. So you guys have any questions, please ask them in the comment section. We will be grilling him really, really hard.
All right, before you grill me that hard, let me go grab the box 1 second while we have people tune in.
While Eric is doing that, we can give like a little intro for you guys who are tuning in right now of Eric. And well, actually, before we do that, just a little intro on AHN. So for some of you guys who are like new members, Asian Hustle Network is a community to empower and uplift Asian entrepreneurs and professionals globally. And today we have a very special guest with us, Eric Chen. He's a serial entrepreneur with a background in consumer products, marketing, and operations, recently launching a media company, NeedThat, with over 20 million in impressions in just 4 months. And he has also recently launched the Boba Card Game on Kickstarter and was fully funded in 4 hours. Eric is also an investor and sits as an advisor to Asian Hustle Network. And today we're going to talk about his new Boba Card Game, Sabobatage, and everything about how he launched the product from scratch.
I love the design, dude. How did you come up with the concept?
Concept wise, it's just are you talking about the game or the logo and the design?
Let's start with the logo and design first, and then hop into the game.
The logo and the design. I mean, I just wanted to go with a very cute and family friendly logo that kind of stood out.
Mhm.
It's actually something that I'm really excited to show people on like what the older iterations and the older logos even look like in the first place. But I mean, this is just a lot of back and forth concepting with our designer, Erica. She's super talented. I mean, you guys are familiar with her. She did a lot of the AHN graphics before as well. So just having her on the team just gave me the confidence that she was able to design something just super phenomenal, especially with the logo too.
Yeah, we're excited about the launch. I mean, let's talk about the concept of the game. Like how long ago did you think about the concept? What was the inspiration behind it besides Boba? And
Yeah.
come out with a card game too. Like that's pretty unique. Like why a card game? Why a Boba card game?
Yeah, I mean, the inspiration for the Boba card game, it happened during pandemic. And I would say that it really came from me missing hanging out with my friends, especially with the pandemic, not getting to hang out with each other. So I typically would host barbecues and movie nights and game nights at my house. And that's something I just really missed, just being able to hang out with people. And one of those fond memories was just being able to play games like Settlers of Catan, Monopoly Deal, just watching Netflix and just whatever activity, right? And I realized like, well, if we can't hang out with my friends, let's try to come up with something fun to do once the pandemic is over and people can get together, right? So there might be something new and exciting to have. And part of the inspiration was just wanting to have built something of my own. And then obviously, yeah, Boba, like you said, is the most obvious inspiration, and it being a huge trend into the market today. Boba shops are popping up all over the place. But I had never seen a card game in the theme of Boba. And so the idea came to me just one day, just scrolling through Instagram, super random, where one person's Instagram just had a cup of boba and then someone else was playing a card game. And that was it, just 2 separate Instagram stories. And in my mind, it just read Boba card game. Boba card game. And this whole idea just stuck in my head for many days, and I just couldn't get it out. And obviously, as an entrepreneur, you always have these crazy business ideas. Oh, I want to launch a coffee company. I want to become a marketing agency. I want to do all of these different things. And this was the one thing that just kept gnawing at me every single day. And so I just told my friends, I'm like, hey, I think I want to start a Boba card game. And that's really where the idea just started to flourish. And then once we started putting paper to concept, it just took off from there.
I love it,
So
man.
cool, so cool. I know every time I go into a boba shop, you always see like a bunch of games and a bunch of card games, but there's never any card game that is like specifically for boba. So I'm super excited about that. But before we dive deeper into Sabobatage, I want to learn about like your entrepreneurial background, like what you did before. Obviously, you have NeedThat that you just recently launched. I had over 20 million in impressions in just what a very short amount of time. And then you immediately launched, your Kickstarter for Sabobatage. So did you always have this like entrepreneurial background? I'd love to know like what you did before.
Yeah, I would say no. I didn't really have a big entrepreneurial spirit growing up. As most people, their parents would just be telling them go to college and go get a corporate job. And to me, that was the obvious path. And I ended up graduating college and went over to my first corporate job. And I went into sales working for ADP, one of the biggest payroll companies. And so my experience has always just been going door to door, selling payroll software. And that was it. Very, very straightforward. And I did that for about 2.5 years or so. And I really enjoyed it. But being from Silicon Valley, you get a lot of the big companies like Series A funding, Series B funding, and these companies going unicorn. So of course the big tech companies are like, hiring more and more people just all day, every day. So I ended up jumping into a tech sales role. And it wasn't until then where I realized how hard it was to even jump into a tech sales role, where I got a small exposure into trying out my first side hustle. So one of the first few ideas I had was trying to build a sales software, not sales software, a sales boot camp, similar to those software boot camps like Hack Reactor that popped up a few years ago that became really popular. I wanted to start my own sales boot camp. And I was afraid to do it on my own with zero experience. So I ended up finding a company that just launched two months before my idea. And I asked the founder if I could join and kind of go along for the ride. And they welcomed me with open arms. And we basically built out this company to the point of getting $500,000 in seed funding. But as you guys saw today, I did my introduction post
Yeah.
on AHN.
Yes.
So I had shared my story about the car accident. So the moment that we got that $500,000 funding was also at the same time that I got into my car accident.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. So what ended up happening was, the team was still wanting me to continue working with them, but I told them, hey, look, I actually just want to focus on my health and my recovery. And so I ended up denying the role because at that point, that was going to pay for everyone's salary. And keep in mind, that was just a side job, right? I was still working my corporate job during the day and then working on the sales boot camp during the nights and the weekends. And so I basically would have doubled my salary immediately by taking my base salary at my sales job, taking my commissions, and then building out the sales boot camp. But I just said, I physically am not able to. So I basically sacrificed, I think maybe 9 months of building out that sales boot camp with the whole team, and then foregoing that just to focus on my health.
Wow.
So that's the first inkling of entrepreneurship. And then what I realized after the car accident was that I wanted to just go back to corporate, just have a job and just kind of relax and be at peace. And so I ended up working corporate as another sales rep for Google as a vendor and selling Google and digital marketing ads. And that's primarily what I did.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Eric. So it looks like we did get some questions that came in. We're going to revert the conversation back now to the Sabobatage. How did you get the idea before me? How did you go about the idea before validating it? Hold on. How did you go about the idea of validating before investing money into it?
In terms of this product, there's a difference between trying to figure out products that already have a market demand, knowing that something is selling, versus trying to go for something that hasn't necessarily been done before, right? So with my experience in launching products to Amazon, a lot of it is backed by market data and market analysis tools. And so a lot of it's reverse engineering to see what's selling and what's trending. And if you can go source those products, then you can launch. For me, having experience in launching different products that may or may not have a demand, but creating the demand, that was really the focus and the attention I had for this. And so with the idea that boba is still a niche, but in rising popularity, and mixing in with the idea of having a card game, and that I believe people would want to play a card game at home, that it was enough. Enough to warrant attention, enough to brand it from scratch and create the demand for it. And so that's the way I looked at it when I decided to build this, because yeah, there wasn't another company showcasing that like you can make a ton of money selling a card game, but you can look at the other inspirations like Exploding Kittens on Kickstarter, having done $8 million on their campaign, Unstable Unicorns. All of these different companies are still doing very well. They're still flourishing. I think the last time I checked the stats on Amazon, Exploding Kittens still does about $1.5 million a month in sales. And
Wow.
so there's a huge opportunity, and I think boba is just the start of it.
I love that,
Yeah.
man.
Absolutely. And so talk about like the process of just building it, because we've definitely seen like, some samples on your Kickstarter, a few designs, but we know it's like still in the process of, you're still kind of changing these, and these are really, we won't see the final product until later on, but talk about like the process of building the product.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, it's from paper to concept, right? And I think the first idea was just having the vision for yourself. This product could have very well been like a board game. It could have been a different type of card game. And for me, the way I look at it is, especially for people who are looking to just start their own business and kind of being afraid of competition, I like to call it the Chinese restaurant theory, is that there's plenty of other Chinese restaurants out there, right? There's the fast casual ones, there's the more expensive ones, but like the restaurant in San Francisco, like Santung, right? They're so well known for their fried chicken, but at face value, they're just a Chinese restaurant. So like, how does one create something that already exists, but make it their own? And so for the product side, I had a vision for it and I wanted to make it my own. So I really just asked myself, what type of game do I enjoy? And I wanted a fast casual type concept. So it could have gone in different ways. We could have gone with a point system like Bonanza. We could have gone towards a board game like Settlers of Catan, or even as far as like Candyland, just keeping it very, very simple. But for me, I wanted to bring in all of the best attributes of different games and seeing if I can put it onto paper. And so that was really the start of having a framework of, okay, within the concept of a boba shop, what does that even mean? Like, how does that even look? And so if the concept of being a boba shop owner is to build drinks, but then you're competing with all of the neighboring stores around you, how do you compete with everybody else? And so there's the element of sabotaging others. And so like, what does that mean? Are you sending in the health inspector card to trash the other person's ingredients? Are you playing a sugar and ice card to steal the other people's ingredients? And so that's really where things started to take shape. And then we just went through iterations and iterations of the card game. And just at that point, play testing with a few friends and just seeing how they liked it. Was it too wonky? Was it too imbalanced? And just going back and forth. So even by the time today, the game is in its 30th version.
Wow.
We've gone through, and when I say 30th version, it's every single change counts as one version, because one change affects the entire balance of the game. And we would play it about 5 to 10 times before we even consider moving into the next version and making sure it's balanced. So it's just a lot of testing that way. And that's how we made the game.
Awesome. Out of curiosity, did you like go to like Target, buy like Exploding Kittens, buy like the unicorn game and play it over and over until you're like, all right, I think I understand the rules now. How can I incorporate that into our own game?
Yeah.
And then obsessively play your own game over and over to see if it makes sense. But out of curiosity too, like, doesn't that kind of cloud your judgment in terms of like how should the game take shape because you're playing the same game over and over? Because essentially you're teaching yourself a new role, a new set, right? How do you know when to tweak if you're just playing the same games, the same rules over and over and over?
Yeah. So yeah, good points. I did go to Target and I have a stack full of different card games. So that's part of the, product research and seeing what else is out there. I actually have on my phone in different reasons where I would actually take pictures of all of the board games on the shelf, because to me, I have more of like a branding and marketing mindset too of, okay, can I imagine my product on the shelf of Target and how is it going to look with everything else? So that was one component. And then of course, emptying my wallet to go buy like a ton of board games. So yeah, Exploding Kittens, Unstable Unicorns, all these other different games I have now. And for me, when I look at these games, I just look at like what parts of it do I enjoy, right? And so for me, the Exploding Kitten side is once you're eliminated, you're out. And so you're just waiting for everybody else. And so to me, that's not a fun experience where you're just sitting and waiting for someone else, right? It's like if you're playing what was like Valorant or something, right? And then you're just waiting for your team. It's a little bit more exciting to see if your teammate will clutch it, but that's not the case for Exploding Kittens, right? You're just waiting till the round is over. So how do I incorporate that element into the game where everyone is still actively involved without a process of elimination? So that was like one component, taking it from a game and doing something else with it. And that's how I looked at it. In terms of the playtest and seeing the game myself, it was more along the lines of, I knew I would have to play this game 1,000 times. And so for me, I had to rely on other people to tell me what was fun or not, right? Because to me, I could not define what was fun anymore. All I could look at it was at a very objective approach to see what is fundamentally and structurally like a sound game. But was it fun? I don't know, because I played it 1,000 times already. So I mean, I'd already lost count, right? Like I had a little tally sheet and like how many rounds did we play for this version? How long did it take? And so I had to rely on other people to collect this type of data and see how other people reacted and played to it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Very interesting.
I mean, I really like the imagery and the characters inside your game. Is it possible to kind of show us like some of the cards? And then
Yeah.
behind it, like how'd you come up with the artwork? Because I think that element is the biggest thing that attracts me to your game besides you, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
I think like I know like you've been kind of putting out some sketches and you're still coming out with some characters, and I think it's so cute. I think that's like the first thing that people think about, like because it's cute, I'm drawn to it and I want to play the game.
Yeah. So you guys do bring up a good point, because I've actually haven't shown most of the artwork into the marketing collateral, because to me it's a little bit more exciting to slowly tease these out. But part of the concept when creating this product, right? And a lot of people, when they do start something from scratch, it's like, what is the vision for it? At the end of the day, the vision isn't necessarily just the card game. The vision is, can I create a whole new world from the start of this card game? And so that's why with the character concept, it was, how do I create a cute characters that people can relate to? So I'm sure most people who are watching and are familiar with like the Boba world, they've seen merchandise with Boba, right? You see all the really cute plushies and the backpacks. They have nice, cute little black eyes, but at the end of it, it's cute, but you can't look into the soul of these characters, right? And so for me, I ended up being very conscious with my art team and saying like, I want these characters to have personality with them. And that's what's going to draw people to these characters and the artwork of the game itself. And so the iteration just back and forth and just having little hints of personalities within the artwork, that was something I was very conscious of. So let me show you a little bit of the artwork here. I had to kind of take them out of the deck. So really quickly, one of the examples was an aloe card. And a lot of the concept in itself was, we drew just the jelly forms of aloe separately, but then how do we make aloe a little cuter? And so this character is actually inspired by my best friend, where he is a little nerdy, he's a little shy, he's not as like outgoing as social as me. And he's always reading books, right? and we're always telling him to come play with us. And so that's why this aloe character, he still never really came out of its shell, right? The little leaf that the aloe comes from. And so, and then incorporating glasses because it likes reading books, that's where the inspiration comes from. And then
I'm kind of curious, did you base any characters off of Maggie myself?
there is an inspiration from Maggie.
I'm in the game.
But I can dedicate the red bean to you, Brian. The little three little angry red beans.
Oh yeah,
I'm not even angry in general.
So that's you know, a few characters come in, and then we have like lychee, where some people say lychee, but the concept between this one, it's like lychee could be this really pretty pink, you know, beautiful fruit, but then I wanted this to be kind of like a very cool, like badass character who's like the girl is like a kind of like a tomboy, right? And they'll just come out not being afraid, and basically is the one who's protecting all of the other characters within the future storylines that, you know, I've come up with in my head. And so that's basically like some of the characters that we have, and then the action cards themselves, we have a little personality separately with like the health inspector card, and then like I mentioned with Lychee in the action for Boba Assurance, where you get to protect your drinks, she's holding up a shield and protecting the cute little Boba character behind, right? So that's pretty much like the inspiration from different characters, and it took a lot of you know, back and forth with our artists and stuff too, and just playing within the theme of having a boba shop like an untrained employee and just overspilling the drink. That's really where you know, we took to heart in putting life into the game.
Yeah,
I love it, man. I love the dedication, thoughtfulness, and intentional meaning behind each of the characters.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to play it. You know, now it just makes me super eager. And I do want to shift the conversation too to your Kickstarter. You know, because running a successful Kickstarter campaign is not an easy task. And the fact that you fully funded yourself in 4 hours and you're still going, it's amazing. Can you kind of walk through your strategy and, you know, how can we ourselves run a successful Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the background that I have, previously working with a ton of different companies, was in part helping them launch on Kickstarter, and others just launching to market if they had their own direct website. And so for me, I really looked into it and thought that if I was going to do a Kickstarter, I want it to be the very best possible campaign it can be. And one of the things that people should realize about Kickstarter is that it's heavily a marketing platform, not necessarily what it's meant for. I wish it was true that Kickstarter was to help, you know, people really like fund their projects, and it still is. But the campaigns that you guys do see on there that are raising, you know, over $500,000 or $1 million, there's a lot of marketing that's going behind it, right? And I knew going into it that that's what it would take to have a successful campaign from the very beginning. And one of the key things with Kickstarter is you want to be able to achieve your goal within the first day. And so a lot of the pre-planning for launching Kickstarter really focused around this day one launch event. And so for me, it was working with the team. It was attempting to work with influencers to try to help us promote on the day. And I'll give you guys some general metrics for how many influencers that we got on board to even achieve this number. Is actually much lower than I expected, because a lot of the influencers either just never responded or they did share. And so out of the 150 influencers that we had on our list, we actually only had about 10 days to reach out to them because we were busy finalizing the artwork, working on other stuff for the campaign. The team and I, we just had 10 days to start reaching out to people and say, hey, we have a Boba Card Game coming out on Kickstarter and we would love your support. So by the end of it, we had about 15 influencers who are willing to share. Yeah. And to me, that's not the biggest number, but if we look at the total follower count or so to help promote it, the overarching potential follower count from the collective 15 was about 1 million followers going into it. So if we were to take that metric into it, that was one component for just having a potentially successful launch and getting more eyeballs into the site. And then the other part was to have a pre-generated email list. So to catch some interest from people and running ads. So I spent about $800 in collecting emails just from running ads or so. So we got a few hundred emails from 7 days before launch. Typically, you want to run this for about 3 months before you even launch. You want to collect as many emails as possible and just tell people, hey, the Kickstarter is launching soon. And then the day of it launches, we only had a few hundred. But as you can see that for us, it still helped. And then the metrics was out of the few hundred, we had about 30% of those actually open the email and click through. And so that was a pretty good solid number to just get the campaign going from the moment we launched. And then from there, it's just preparing people, like just being aware that the campaign was going to go live on Tuesday morning. And so the moment we went live, then from our friends, there's a ton of people who helped and supported us by sharing it on their stories, by sharing it on Facebook. And so a lot of the community came together for us to raise the funds. And I mean, it blew my mind out of the waters. I didn't think we could achieve the goals that fast. I was expecting us to do it within 1 day. And so in 4 hours, we reached our goal of $10,000. And then by 24 hours, so next day on Wednesday at 10 a.m., we hit $20,000 too.
Wow, that
That's
is
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah.
And we know like this campaign would not be possible without your team. You want to spend some time to recognize them real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my roommates and dear friends, Sophia Chang and Julie Zahn, were part of the inception of the campaign. And of course, being stuck in staying at home, sheltering in place, this actually gave us an opportunity to bond more with each other and work on this concept and having something to just have fun and work on together. So it's just like a little side project and that's how it started. And then of course, Erica and Grace, who were part of the core team for the design, and then our artist who actually did most of the artwork and the concepting, Jesus, and then our designer who created like the layouts of the cards, who is Elena. She's a talented artist as well. And then a few of my other team members like Thomas and Jimmy and Sabrina coming into the very last minute. And then my sister Jessica and my dear friend Tiffany, who's helped with like the media outreach as well. So
Amazing.
And then pride. It really does
yeah.
pride.
Yeah. And of course, I can't forget all of the play testers who also volunteered their time. It was actually a little awkward for me to ask a huge favor for me to send them a PDF. Like our low fidelity version prototype was emailing them a PDF where they had to hand cut it themselves. And then I would ask them to take a Zoom call with me and I would just watch them play. And I would just take notes on my notepad and observe how them and their friends or them and their families played the game. And so I just want to thank all of the play testers who spent the time to, cut the cards and then play the game.
Wow, that's amazing. I love how you put in so much time and effort into this, just actually staying on the Zoom call in front of these players and seeing how they react to the game it just feels so special. And how long did this actually take? Like from start to now, like what was the timeline like?
Yeah, the concept came in July. And so the idea was born then. And then just from then on, we just kept concepting and just writing on paper, just coming through different versions. So it wasn't about November where I had the very first prototype that I let other people try it out, play and give me feedback. And so basically through the holidays, through November and December, that was when I had the play testers come in and play. And then from there, January was actually when we decided like this is a very, very real thing. And I think we should launch on Kickstarter. Yeah. And so starting from January was actually when we concepted the artwork, getting all these characters established, in addition to filming the commercial too, all within a 1 month period. So from January 3rd till the end of January, we were able to come up with all of the artwork for this and shoot the commercial. And so if people had a chance to watch the commercial on our Kickstarter campaign, It was actually done by the very talented Taylor Chen, who works over at the Wong Fu Productions, to take this crazy idea and script that I had and just blow it out of the waters with him and his team. And so I'm very grateful for his vision and his directing skills, his editing skills, and the entire team that was there to support too. Yeah.
Amazing. Can we start taking some questions off the Facebook Live?
Yeah, we can.
You want to ask a question that Vicky Yang asked?
Yeah, let's so anyone who's just joining now, that are joining in through the Facebook Live, you can feel free to ask your question in the comment section, and we will relay them to Eric. Okay, so Vicky Yang asked, how did such a life-altering experience affect your views on entrepreneurship and business? Yeah, we would love to talk about this too. Like, what was that shift in mindset like?
Yeah, so the accident in itself, it obviously was the catalyst to, really assessing your life and wanting to, just do what you want to do and, go and check off your bucket list items. So that's why I decided to forego everything and at first go travel around the world. But at the end, it kind of was short-lived. I call myself a lazy person, to be honest. And like I joke with my friends, it's like, I'm not that good at a lot of things. And it's funny to joke that it's like, I even sucked at backpacking. Like I told everyone before I took off that I was going to backpack for a whole year or for an undetermined amount of time. And that I was like, we even threw a whole party, like a goodbye party for my going away. And I came back in 3 months. I was like, I'm backpacked out. Like I couldn't handle the hostel life and just bouncing around all the time. So to me, I did the digital nomad thing a little wrong. I would love to do that again in the future. But the accident did really shift that whole mindset of really just doing what you want to do that will make you happy. But within the story that I shared within the AHN post, that shift of me going into entrepreneurship, it was still an idea of being an entrepreneur, but it just ended up not being the type of entrepreneurship that I wanted it to be. But in terms of having this growth mindset, being open to learning about every other opportunity, learning from others, not having a big ego around it or around yourself, and not thinking you're better than anyone else. Like one of my mentors, he's younger than me. Like his name is Anthony Bowie Chen. He was my inspiration to get started on Amazon. And I don't know if he even knows to this day that like, I think he's 4 or 5 years younger than me. And like to see how talented he was to launch his business, like he's still an inspiration. And so like as an entrepreneur, if like you're curious about, learning and just being open to everything, that's how like the accident, shifted my mindset. Because to me, corporate was just like, just get a corporate job, be at the coolest company you can be. You want to work at Facebook, Airbnb, like all these cool things. But at the end of the day, it just really doesn't matter because you want to be working, for something that will make you happy internally.
I love that. That's a really good approach to life and entrepreneurship in general. And I do agree, the growth mindset, just improving a little bit every day goes a long way. Eventually all that will compound together. All that will make sense. And I do want to highlight that the entrepreneur journey is a pretty lonely process too, and it's good to have friends around, community around, support to kind of get you through your self-doubt. So appreciate that, Eric. Should we ask the second question? I think Sammy asked, do you plan to have an online version of the game as well?
I would love to have an online version. I think that would cost a lot of development money and resources, especially because I'm not technical in that aspect. But if there's an opportunity to, like say, for instance, we did raise a ton more money on the Kickstarter campaign, that's something I'd be more than willing to allocate resources to into making a digital version. So yeah, like if you see like the online versions of Settlers of Catan, that would be amazing to create a digitized version, where you can log in with friends and you're getting your randomized set of cards and just playing against other people. That would be the dream, but because this is so early on, I just want to make sure everyone gets like the best product first.
Right. I'm super excited for that. Okay, Kylie asked, where do you find your influencers?
Great question. Online, Instagram, friends of friends, people that I follow just because they are, I guess, an influencer in my life. It just happens that they have a lot of followers too. For me, I just ended up reaching out to a lot of different people. Going into it, I just created a filter and a list of manually. Just you guys know me. I like to just do a lot of hard work and create manual Excel lists of things.
Also, by the way,
Huh?
that's also very true, by the way.
Yeah. And so whenever I would just go and find, I just stumble across an influencer, knowing that, part of the plan is to do an influencer campaign, just putting them on a list and then just reaching out. I mean, to me, it's any boba lover. You can, put in the hashtag for boba, foodies, lifestyle, parents and moms. That's pretty much just understanding where your audiences are and who might resonate. Those are the people that I targeted.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Yeah, just for our listeners and to give you guys some background information of like how we met Eric. We pretty much met Eric through Asian Hustle Network. And when we had first started having people share their introductions and their businesses, it's, as you know, it's really hard to consolidate all that information from Facebook. But this random person named Eric Y. Chen had consolidated that list and put it into an Excel spreadsheet and shared it with all of us. And it included like hundreds of people and hundreds of businesses from like location and name and business name, website and everything like that. And we're just like, who is this person? So that just goes to show like how organized Eric is. But obviously, organization is key, and that's pretty much how you made up that influencer list, right?
Yeah, I mean, part of that, I created that list because when you guys started Asian Hustle Network, I think I joined when it was like a little over 1,000 people, but hundreds of people started sharing their stories like over the course of the next couple of weeks. And I was just so in awe and inspired by all of these different people who were doing it, right? They were building their business. They were well in the entrepreneur journey. And so I was just so super fascinated. I created that list because I just wanted to bookmark them for myself. And then I sent it over to you guys like, hey, by the way, it's here's a list I created that you guys can use because I personally don't know what else I'm going to do with it. And then that's just how we met. That was day one of how.
And you changed my life, Eric. Good to have you for the Asian Hustle Network team too.
So speaking of, I know I mentioned in the Instagram post, like announcing that we're doing this live, I did mention that you guys affected my life. And so I want to apologize to my old business partner, but technically you guys were one of the huge inspirations for me to leave my business partners. So if you guys imagine like starting Asian Hustle Network and the content within the post itself of me, like I'm an entrepreneur, right? We were running this business, but then I wasn't like satisfied and it just didn't align with me. And seeing you guys build Asian Hustle Network and like being inspired by all of these other entrepreneurs in the community doing their own thing, that is actually part of the driving force that just kept gnawing at me. It's like, wait, I am an entrepreneur, but I'm not the entrepreneur I thought I set myself out to be. Right. And so because of you guys and because of the community, it inspired me to finally let go of my, partnership with my business partners and then go fully on my own, just solo. So it's partially thanks to you guys.
Eric's business partners, we apologize.
Yeah, sorry.
They're still doing very well. I mean, we had this business deal that I knew I would regret, leaving on the table, and they're all doing really well right now. So I mean, I'm just happy for them. But to me, it's like I'm at peace with every decision that I make, at least.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely.
So I guess the next question is, how much capital did you put into investing upfront to get the idea into production?
That's the real question. Yeah. I will break down the metrics for everybody here because, Asian Hustle Network, people want to know how much this really does cost. So with the business, this could have very well been a pretty cheap startup cost, I would say. In total, I've allocated about $30,000 to get this project off the ground, right? So if you look at Kickstarter today, the goal was $10,000 in hopes that we can achieve a six-figure campaign. That's the idea. For me, $30,000 in as a breakdown was the development cost, especially with the time and the artist and my team, and then the amount of marketing dollars that would go into the campaign itself. The artwork that you guys see, especially with coming up with character concepts, this is actually the most expensive component of the game. We could have just gone with a very simple, straightforward art piece with a picture of a real lychee fruit, could have just had a very straightforward action card. And I assessed through, I think, 12 different artists before I found the one that I believed had the potential to do it.
Yeah.
But he also was the most expensive one to go into it.
Right.
But to me, for the vision that I aligned with myself of wanting to attain a certain level of quality and the potential that these characters might become household names in the future, that's the investment that I'm looking for. So for me, investing about $30,000 in total so far to get to this point of the campaign, that's really the idea and mindset and the potential that I see moving forward. And to put it into perspective, regardless of the Kickstarter campaign, we've achieved the goal, but the idea for us to raise more, that helps with like the ordering and manufacturing cost. In my mind, I believe we can do about $600,000 before the end of the year. And that to me was my own calculations on the potential market and also running ads. So even after Kickstarter, regardless of where we end up, I still plan to invest more money to make sure that we can get more inventory here and then continue to market, because I do believe that the game is as fun as can be. And so the moment that people get this into their hands and they play with their friends will go out and buy the product too. And I just want to make sure that it's available to them as well when that happens.
Yeah.
Thanks for breaking that down, Eric.
Yeah,
It's extremely detailed and very open and authentic of you to do such a thing,
Yeah. I think a lot of people are always afraid about how much money they've lost. Like I did put a little idea of like investing into the Amazon products before and how much money I lost there for like just one product. And I think we're in our Clubhouse chat yesterday where we were interviewing the other entrepreneur. It was the idea of, you could very well lose $100 or $1,000 investing into marketing. But to me, that's just the extra $1,000 of a lesson for yourself, because now you know exactly what not to do. So before you go out and invest $1 million into a marketing campaign that might fold, it's how do you have all of these experiences chalked up before you even invest even more money into it?
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
So
I see a question from your sister. What is the next step for your Boba game?
The next step. Why is she asking if she probably knows it, right? Like I've talked to her about it all the time. But the next step in the Boba Card game is I had a vision where an opportunity to expand the game with local boba shops as well. So shops that are well known for a very specific ingredient or their own drink. The idea was that we could incorporate those ingredients that aren't in the game yet. So we have like passion fruit, honey lemon, peach, but other stores have like toppings like grass jelly. What else is there? Strawberry, and incorporating those into the game to then create that signature drink when you do play this game. And so that's a kind of an idea that I had for the game. And I want to be able to help these shops build their own version of this, be able to stock it in their shelves. So they have their own version of a Boba Card game that they could sell to their customers, and just help the local shops bring in more traffic, have the people be able to sit in the stores and play this game while they're drinking boba.
I love the vision. It's actually very, very smart. I used to spend a lot of time and a lot of money in boba shops, and this game speaks to me. I wish that it did exist back when things were safe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're talking about toppings. I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna get a boba after this.
Yeah, that's probably what thanks.
Yeah, I should have DoorDashed you guys some boba before the call. But I've honestly had boba every single day for for like the last I think 10 days or so. So I'm a little boba'd out right now. But when people do play this game, I do tell them, or at least the play testers, I tell them to go get boba before they play because they will crave it when
Yep.
they're playing.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Okay, Bruce Lamb asked, based on your product building experience, what helps you determine winning products, whether that be your items for dropshipping or creation from scratch?
That's a good question. In the most simple answer I could give you is just having that market analysis on knowing what the potential sales is. And especially if you're going down the drop shipping route or the Amazon FBA route, it becomes a numbers game and who has the most resources to run a marathon. It's no longer like a sprint to get inventory in and get it fast. It's who can put product out the door and who can sustain that over a long period of time before other people exhaust themselves, whether they trip up on getting more inventory for themselves, or if you're able to get your marketing a little bit better and just continuously going on. For me, I like to call it like a 1-year stretch where anyone can launch a business, but if it doesn't go past the 1-year mark, then it kind of folds over, right? It's the same thing in my corporate job. When I first started at ADP, my manager told me, if you can stick to this job for at least a year, then things will turn over, right? And I wasn't a very good salesperson my first year. I was able to hit quota just a few months here and there, but overall, I was not the best. What ended up happening was because I stuck around for a year, the people, my book of business, the clients, they started to finally remember who I was and recognize me as the sales rep. And they said, wow, actually, Eric has been around because my territory, people turned over month after month, right? And if you imagine the turnover for you launching a new product, people are like, okay, that's just, the next product. It's the next product. Yeah. But like for you to stick around or have that brand stand out for a year, then people will be like, oh, you know what? I have seen this. It's a legit product. They've been around. And then people will talk about like the quality of the product. And for any product launch, it really doesn't matter what's the best fit going into market. Are you structurally prepared to last the longest and then continue to innovate from there?
Good point. Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
So our next question is from Leslie Chan. Did you run any ads to gain 2 million impressions?
20 million.
20 million impressions. Was your reach 100% organic?
I will say the 20 million impressions came from our content creation. We have a team of content creators and different people who create assets, content writing, and different social media channels. So one of the biggest drivers was TikTok for the NeedThat website. And so one of our content creators over the course of time has been able to drive 2 to 3 million impressions per video. And so that's really where we drove a lot of traffic into our site. And so one of the, I remember sending you the picture, Brian, but that one day we were just trending upwards with the content to drive people into our traffic. We ended up getting 55,000 clicks on one day. And so I would say don't sleep on TikTok right now. And, Sophia, our other person who helps run Sabobatage, she actually put our very first video on TikTok the other day for the Boba Card Game. And it's about 400,000 views on TikTok right now for our very first video. And so just to me, I don't rely on TikTok. It's just the fact that if you are blessed by the TikTok algorithm, then go for it. So it's just a matter of staying consistent and just putting your content out into the different social channels.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think TikTok is extremely powerful. I'm just gonna make a quick pitch. You guys want to come on as a Asian Hustle Network intern for our TikTok? We need all the help we can get.
I probably need another intern, especially for TikTok too. So let me know. I can't, like our parents, like when they look at their phone, they're just like using one finger and stuff. Whenever I turn on the TikTok app, I revert to a one finger, like, where do I go? Like Instagram, I'm totally fine, super fast, but TikTok, I'm just like, how do I, so TikTok is a whole nother beast.
Millennials.
Yeah.
These new tools, their social media tools are coming out.
But yes, go ahead and check out Eric's TikTok for Sabobatage. What's the handle for your TikTok for Sabobatage?
Sabobatage.
Awesome. Yes. And I think you only have like 2 videos on there and it already blew up. So yes,
yeah.
Don't sleep on TikTok, you guys.
Yeah. So we're gonna ask 2 more questions and give time for Eric to kind of close out his statements. But go ahead.
Okay, so another question. Let's see. Dustin Chang asked, quick question related to the validation on earlier. What were some other metrics besides sales and views? Did it help you towards making your decision to move forward on this?
On the product?
Yes, I believe so.
Besides metrics, besides analytics, it really just came down to a gut feeling. Validation through friends, people who are willing to support. While I still heavily rely on metrics and data to back up these decisions, I think this is just one of those items that I will try my best to create a demand for it. So, I mean, at a certain point, if it doesn't work out, all I could really say is that I put my heart and soul into something and I'm proud of it, and basically just go from there, really.
Yeah.
Yes, gut instinct.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more question.
Yeah, you want to combine them with Leslie and Dean's question?
And Dean's. Okay, so Leslie asked, what softwares or resources did you use to perform your market analysis? Could you break down the method? And then Dean's question is, what is your influencer outreach marketing strategy looking like? We can take it one at a time.
It's called Asian Hustle Network. I'm just kidding.
Asian Hustle Network's one of them. Market analysis tools, if you want to reverse engineer on the Amazon FBA side, Jungle Scout, Helium 10, all of these different companies gives you the snapshots of the market demand for certain industries. So I would look into that. There is one software, I forget what, like VCs use this to just assess the overall like business industry. So I had friends in the VC space who like pulled it for me for the NeedThat website, like as the media company, just to kind of give me an idea. And so when I did launch NeedThat.com, the idea was supposed to be more of a slick deals concept. And when my VC friends looked at the market potential for that, they said, if Slick Deals is the biggest company in the space that you're going for, and their revenue or market is only $500 million, then that's what you're going for. And you're only taking that piece of the pie. And so they said, if you want to go for bigger, then you're going into the media space. So you're competing with like CNET, Engadget, BuzzFeed. They said the cap for that is like $2 billion, $3 billion. So if you're going for that pie, that's basically where we got the metrics from. So what was the other question? I think from Dean.
Dean asked, what is your influencer outreach marketing strategy looking like?
Approach them with kindness and personability. This comes from my sales experience. So my managers were always mad at me because I take a long time to do my cold outreach to people. They want to see our metrics. How many dials are we making per day? How many appointments were we setting per day? How many deals were we closing per day? For me, my call numbers were always the lowest. My emails were always the lowest, but my hit rate was always the highest. My close rates were always the highest. And that was because I would spend time to research the person that I was reaching out to. Is there something that I relate to them on? So even in my own outreach, I do go into the person's content to go and see like what actually resonates with me, especially if I've never followed them before, right? And it's easy for the people I have followed, I'm a true fan of, but the people that we put on our list and we started reaching out to, um, I would go through their content and I would watch a lot of their stuff before I even have an idea of reaching out. And then I personalize that message to them.
Mhm.
And, it's as simple as telling them that you liked XYZ content, that they posted a few months ago, or even the joke that they said on that content and referencing it and then making it more personable. Because on the other side of the phone, on the other side of the DM, it's a real person, it's a real human being. And the influencer life is not easy. A lot of people, they put themselves out there and, they get a lot of flack, for putting themselves out there. They get cyberbullied all the time. So even then it's just empathizing with the other person. And even for me, I'm scared to have put myself, out into the Kickstarter world and online world to push out a product. One of the biggest risks is like we are going to experience product delays, most likely because of the shipping delays and the logistics side of the world. And I'm sure people are going to get mad that they're not getting their products fast enough. And, I'll probably get cyberbullied, So what I typically do is I just try to treat everybody as a human being as best I can. And so with the influencer outreach, a lot of messages were just personalized and just seeing if they're interested. But I really don't push that hard. I'm hoping maybe some influencers that if they're watching this, that they know that if it came from me, that I did take that approach, and that's why they're willing to really share and resonate with the mission that we had for the launch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really good points, Eric. Yeah, I mean, just personalize the message, get to know them, because they may have, or just based on my own experience, like I may have, followers and everything, but if someone takes the opportunity to like learn the little quirks about me, I'm more inclined to respond and connect. So I think that's a really good tip.
Yeah. It'd be like, I really like your long hair, Brian.
Oh no. Yeah, so how can we continue supporting you? And like where can we find your Kickstarter? How can we be part of this journey and continue pushing forward?
Absolutely. So the biggest lofty goal I have is it is, bold for me to say I wanted to try to beat out Exploding Kittens. But $8 million in 30 days for a campaign is a lot. So I would love to hit a modest 6-figure campaign. That's really what I'm going for. And being able to get people the unlockable items that are part of the campaign too. But really, it's just the opportunity to showcase that, there's a fun new product that's coming out. We did our due diligence to test the product as best we can to make sure the game is fun. You can find the Kickstarter on our website. I kept it really easy. It's just bobacardgame.com to get to the campaign itself. And then just, whether it's just you want to back it, we would love and appreciate that. And if you just want to share it with your friends and family, that's really all I could ask for. And just we'll continue to do our best, our best job in getting this out there and trying to make this a even bigger success of a campaign.
Awesome. We're super excited for Boba Card Game. And I do have to ask this one question, but what is your favorite boba drink?
Passion fruit green tea with
No,
aloe. Sorry?
Boba?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, boba could be anything really. Boba is just a lifestyle really at this point. But yeah, passion fruit green tea 3030 is my go-to order. Shout out to the Boba Club on Clubhouse. You can jump in there, they take your order. It's just a fun little group and they know my order now. So that's what I order all the time.
Show us your box and prototype real quick before you close out the call.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I show people this is actually a competitor's box that we taped up on the back.
Oh my God.
And this
it looks legit.
And this is actually just a printed wrap that we just wrapped around the top of the cover. And then this is the prop that we used for the commercial. So that's how innovative we had to get, or how bootstrapped we were. So like even when you open it, the cards are in here, and then you can see the masking tape.
Oh yeah, I see it
Underneath.
Wow.
So that's
so legit.
I know, like that looks pretty legit, dude.
Yeah, and then the other cards that we have here, 5-star review. So this is prototype. It even says prototype at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on. You know, AHN is definitely something special, and I'm hoping people, you know, will continue to reach out to you, get to know other people within the community. Everybody's been super helpful within the journey. Like I would say a big percentage of the people who backed it are people that I met through AHN, just within the span of what, 14, 15 months since it's been around. So, I mean, I'm forever grateful, and, you know, I try to do my best to help other people best I can. And that's really all it is. It's, you know, our mission at the end of the day is to, you know, give first. And I try not to ask for anything, but
Happy here.
just give.
Our mission too. And yeah, it makes us really happy to see, you know, entrepreneurs like yourself continue to push forward, because we need more people that look like us, sound like us, that can set the stage and foundation for the future generation. And that's always been the mission of the Asian Hustle Network, you know, and really appreciate you, Eric. Really appreciate your insight. So I do see some questions about if this video is going to be saved. Yes, it will be saved, and it will remain on our Facebook announcement section for a week or so before we upload it to YouTube. So feel free to rewatch it and learn about Eric's story.
If they post questions on the comments, I can go back and answer them too.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Yeah, for anyone who didn't have their question answered by Eric, you can feel free to type it in the comment section again, and Eric can go back to it.
Yeah, Eric is really good at answering all the questions. He's also our Asian Hustle Network moderator, so
An advisor.
and,
Market advisor. So whatever you guys need, you know, continue marketing efforts, I'm always there for you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eric. Thank you for your time. We wish
Thanks,
you the best of luck, and we'll be texting each other after this. So.
All right, I'll see you on Slack. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you in Slack.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.